I'd like to call this regular council meeting to order on June 9th, 2026. Will you please turn yourselves off or on silent and stand and repeat with me or Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Roll call. Councilor Miera.
Aquí.
Councilor Waldman.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
All present. And may I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So move.
Is there a motion, a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is the administrator's report. Melanie?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and councilors, I have a couple of updates since the administrator's report was written on Friday. One will be especially important to Councilor Waldman. I do have an update on Salsay Park. The grant has moved to the next step in the process, and we should have the formal notice of award within the next 30 to 45 days, which once we have that, then we can move forward with the next step with the design. So,
excellent. Thank you.
and also the work is proceeding. It's almost done on the animal services remodel.
Head of schedule.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Ahead of schedule and under budget. So we are good there. And then Councilor Knight, I know you had asked Lynn for some more information about the Adventure Day that happened on Saturday at Liam's Pond. And so Lynn gave me a list of the sponsors. It's a very large list, but it included Coyote Gravel Products and Pumping Service, Hit or Miss Archery Center, Tasuke Stucco, The Archery Shop, Bosky Barbershop, Waypoint Vehicle Uplifters, Ace Hardware, JPR Gravel and Construction, the Bass Pro Shop, and BMC Tactical. So they gave away $15,000 in prizes on Saturday at the event, including free fishing rods to all of the kids that came. So it was a very successful event. I'm not sure how many fish were caught, and I'm not sure if all of the tagged fish were caught, but
Was there, and they caught, and this was like about 10:30, and the two fish that came out that I saw were huge.
Yeah.
They were this big.
yeah.
So,
How big?
this
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
but also, animal services were there from the village, and of course, the police department as well as the fire department and Lynn. And it was so much fun to go over there and see all these families together fishing and having fun. And even for like little tots, they had like a little pool filled with fake fish that they could sit in and grab them. It was really pretty cool.
Councilor Murray?
Yeah, so to follow up on that, I got a haircut Monday, and I was talking to my stylist, and her son participated in the fishing. And when he caught his fish, he was sorely disappointed because it was only about Galen. And everybody else was catching the big ones. Well, it turns out he had the smallest fish.
Then you had a prize.
He won prize. His attitude changed immensely afterwards. But yeah, it was pretty funny because she showed me a picture, and it was just, you just had to feel for him because he's sitting there. But when he got the award, oh, that's great.
Yeah, I know of one child, he won an Xbox. So there were some really good prizes. So yeah. So we're hoping to be able to do that again next year. So and then let's see, what was the other update I had for you? Oh, there has been a case of the New World screwworm in New Mexico in Lee County in a dog. So we're keeping an eye on that for our health and safety. So with that, let's see. You'll see on tonight's consent agenda all of the resolutions for our PARA, our Public Employees Retirement Fund. And this has been, I believe we started the process of adding our employees to this about 19 years ago. Is that right? And we have been working, this has been the goal, to get our police and fire departments to Plan 5, which is the highest plan we can go. So this is an amazing day. I know a lot of our police and fire are here tonight in support of this. So thank you for your consideration of this and for your agreeing to pick up some of the employees' contributions on this, because this is really helpful to the village for our recruiting and our retention for our employees. So just wanted to say thank you in advance. Hopefully it passes. With that, if there's any questions on the report or any requests for next time.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you. So I know that I asked a question about item 5 in your report about the amended site plan withdrawing his application. And I understand now with that actually talking with our attorney, and that we do not have rules in place that would penalize anybody from withdrawing their application. So consequently, I'm disappointed, and there are still problems with that. I think that we need to go code enforcement to go back and take a look at that, because he's got 2 entrances, but he was only allowed 1. So I think it's incumbent that we take a look at the violations that are there and see if we can get them resolved. But yeah, I'm not happy with that result, but if that's the way it is, it is.
Any other comments, questions from council? Good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Moving right along, Corralenos Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. How many speakers are there, Mandy?
13.
Okay, fine. First speaker then?
Pamela Whitney. Good evening. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Pamela Whitney, 942 Old Church Road. Good evening. I'm here to give an update on 944 Old Church Road, where there's a clean and lean in place, which we hope will remain in place until this is resolved. Since I last spoke with you, I want to let you know I am in here on behalf of all of the neighbors who couldn't always be here tonight, because they now know that the official report from planning and zoning was pushed to next week. But 2 of us are here to give a report on that. Since we last spoke, there have been not just pickup trucks coming in with debris, mostly metal. There are now dump trucks. There have been 4 of them that I've seen, and another one came at 8:30 at night and unloaded for 2 hours. The debris of metal was piled so high that you could see it over the edge of the dump truck, bringing in metal. They now have, so there's new material coming in all the time. Since they got a report saying that it was substantially clean, they thought, oh, ollie ollie income free, we're good to go now. Let's bring in more stuff. They're building a shed 30 feet by 15 feet with no permit. P&Z has been out to see this and now has acknowledged there's new material that wasn't there from their last report. In conclusion, we've all come to the conclusion, all the neighbors, and I believe P&Z, that this is an ongoing business. It's a scrapyard. It's a junkyard. Scrapyard has been in business for years. It is their source of income. Scrap comes in, scrap goes out. Scrap comes in, scrap comes out. We have to assume it's being sold. They worked hard to get the flammable material out, but the business will remain. And we hope that by the end of this, whatever the conclusion, however this is resolved, we hope very, very much that there will be something in writing in the clean and lean that says that you all have the right to come and inspect every 4 to 6 months to ensure that this business has been ongoing for over 30 to 40 years, does not continue to go once they feel they have met the requirements of the clean and lean, because this is their source of income, which is fine. It's a residential neighborhood. And maybe in the old days when it wasn't so urban, it was fine. But now they need to take the money that they've made from other land, sell it, and go somewhere else to run their business and live peacefully as our neighbor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Amy Clement.
I'm Amy Clement, 942 Old Church Road, speaking about the same property. And I'm sure you're tired of me speaking about the same property, and I'm kind of tired as well. But I just wanted to make sure the lean and clean is handled carefully, that it's not just removed without lots of inspections. And then when it is finally removed, there will be some kind of follow-up, because I do believe they just move it from one pile here to one pile here. But I also believe that there are still a lot of flammable things there, because I just saw the 60 unused tires pile has never been removed, and that would burn for days. I get frustrated with Corrales Comment, because every time this is on the front page of Corrales Comment, they put in the title, trashy neighbors, blah, blah, blah. It's not about it being trashy and I'm a Karen, or like it's an eyesore thing. I think they're spending all the time on a fence to hide it, but it's not about them being trashy at all. It's about a fire hazard. It's about safety, not about being an eyesore. So it's not about hiding it so we don't see it and feel like our neighborhood is trashy. It's not that at all. It's just a safety hazard for a fire that will burn for days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Mayor, Ms. Mayor,
Next,
Bob Icord.
Mayor,
Yes,
if I could just interrupt for a minute. We were expecting, I think, an update tonight. Could you tell us what this postponement, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, just needed a little more time to follow up. We're in the process of getting quotes on cleaning up the property ourselves. So it is still in place. It is still moving forward. We were just hoping to have some more information before we gave you a formal report. So it'll be part of Lori's monthly report in the next council packet.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bob Icord.
Bob Icorst, I live in Corrales. First off, I recognize Sybil Shepherd back here. Haven't seen her for many, many years since her husband passed. Great family, and I miss John all the time. Okay, pardon me. I would still like to bring up, there's a no loitering sign. It has been proven to be unconstitutional. You can loiter in a public parking lot. So I'd really like to get that one removed. The number of coyotes are really increasing right now. The pups are out. The coyotes are going everywhere. And then just two things. The number of cars that pass on the right on Corrales Road is out of hand. Every time you stop to make a left-hand turn, they're passing you on the right. They don't pass me, but I see it all the time. It's illegal. They can't go on the dirt. But then I've been passed on Loma Larga also. I do the speed limit. I use cruise control because I got a heavy foot, but they're passing me on Loma Larga. Years ago, I followed the guy all the way to his house, and my wife wouldn't let me get out and talk to him. But most of the drivers here are great. It's just those few that are either passing on the right or passing on the left. Whatever they're doing it wrong. Thank you.
thank you. Next, Mandy.
Sybil Kaiser.
Yes, no, right.
Sybil Kaiser, 160 West Meadow Lot. I'm here to speak against a noise ordinance. We do have a real noise problem in Corrales. The traffic, there's more people living here, traffic is loud, but you can't regulate that. We value our farm community. All day I listen to weed whackers, leaf blowers, all kinds of motors. But I respect that people need to use that and we can't regulate that. I walk outside and the dog barks at me all the time, the peacock screech, and the chicken, the rooster has no regard for the dawn and just crows all day, but you can't regulate that. So you're looking at regulating music. We are so fortunate to have some venues, local venues where we can go and enjoy music. And it seems like that's something that we should encourage to exist here. I understand if you're live near the commercial zone, maybe it would not be so hard to just accommodate and tolerate that music till 9:30. 9:30 curfew is the only ordinance we need. I heard an argument that just because you live in the commercial district, you should be entitled to the same kind of quiet that everyone else. And that's ridiculous. Your property values reflect that. If you live in a more densely populated area, it's going to be a little noisier. And I think there's other conveniences that you enjoy, but that's a trade-off. And I don't think we can expect, it's not too much to ask for those residents to just tolerate some tunes till 9:30 at night. Okay?
Dr. Mandy?
Rudy Miera.
And there are 116 East Meadowlark. We are here to solve problems. Those aren't my words. That's what Councilor Miera said at this meeting last Tuesday. And so let's start solving some problems. You know, Robert Hobbs talked about that he and I have some disagreements, and we agreed to disagree, but we also agreed to agree. And one thing we can agree on is an entrance further to the north on Corrales Road, because, you know, there was a statement made by the P&Z administrator when we had our first appeal back in 2023, and we were told that the New Mexico Department of Transportation would never grant variance. Time out. Not true. The New Mexico Department of Transportation is located at 1120 Cerrillos Road in New Mexico in Santa Fe, which is another name for Highway 14. In fact, the entire basic commercial district of the city of Santa Fe is on a variance. Whether you want to go to the El Court Motel or you want to go to Whole Foods Market, get some art supplies at Artisans or buy some good food at Mariscos, those businesses have all been granted a variance. That is Highway 14, from all the way from Department of Transportation through Rodeo Road, all the way up to where it ends in Galisteo Road. So I think that we should take a look at the parallel that we have our same situation here, that this is a state highway and we're being told, well, there can be no variances granted. Well, variances have been granted to the point that that's how economy of Santa Fe is still sustained. I think that maybe we should take a look, and Councilor Murray mentioned about, you know, it was better. He was disappointed there was 2 entrances allowed. If there's 1 entrance, we would like to see it on the north side, but it's going to take more than just Robert fighting it himself or us, the Meadowlark, or we need the village behind us. I think we need the council behind us, and I think we should take this up as a problem we could solve. I think, you know, they say the definition of being insane is to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Well, people keep talking over and over again to Margaret. I don't know who Margaret is over at the DOT, but we might need to go above Margaret. And Councilor Miera, I think you had so much experience with the legislature and you know how government works and all that. Maybe that would be something you can be helping us out in terms of doing what we're here for, which is to solve problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deborah De La Torre.
I'm Deborah De La Torre. I live at 28 East Meadowlark Lane, Corrales. Mayor Hashimoto and council, we have been recently made aware due to the inclusion on the agenda that the property owner Robert Hobbs of 3605 Corrales Road has withdrawn his site development plan 2603 amendment. As following public site development plan hearings, the matter was appealed to the village council, which determined that the proposed increase in intensity required further review and remanded the application to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The applicant then withdrew the request and elected to proceed under the previously approved original site development plan. The owner cannot obtain by withdrawal what could not be obtained through approval. By withdrawing the amendment to modify, the applicant remains subject to the original site development plan and all conditions associated with that approval. The withdrawal of the application cannot serve as authorization for site improvements, operations, or uses that differ from the approved plan. It has become apparent that the site as currently constructed and operated may not fully conform to the approved SDP plan and its conditions. Accordingly, I request the village conduct a comprehensive compliance review and require conformance with all elements of the approved plan, including but not limited to restoration and construction of all site improvements not shown on the original approved SDP, remove the shipping container, shed, storage, fencing, concrete slabs, outdoor gazebo, all were added without proper permitting. Replacement of the screening, the walls, the fencing, the landscaping, and buffering elements that were existing on that original plan, but subsequently removed, altered, or never installed. Replacement of a 6-foot-high solid wood fencing at the north portion of the property. Tree replacement as shown on the landscape plan. Restore a 6-foot-high wire fence on Corrales Road from the wood fence south, then extend east on Meadowlark. Remove the access drive around the pond. Restore the required run-up capacity and maintenance of all drainage, grading, and stormwater management improvements required by the original approved SDP. Compliance of all approved hours of restaurant operation, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, as shown on Mr. Hobbs' original application. His original application, hence the approval from P&Z originally, was specifically that states for one small delicatessen, hours of business are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be no open cooking in the delicatessen, and the idea for Bell's Deli liquor license was dropped during the original discussion and was never approved. And Ms. Romero's finding of fact, number 7, is incorrect. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Kathy Campbell.
Kathy Campbell, 8 East Meadowlark Lane. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council and fellow Coraleños tonight. As a resident of Corrales for over 40 years and as an appealing party in a quasi-judicial proceeding recently heard by the council in a special meeting on June 2nd, I want to express my concerns on behalf of myself and the other appellants regarding the process followed, particularly with regard to notice and adequate documentation of the proceeding and of subsequent events. In the hearing on June 2nd, we were led to believe that there would be insufficient time for the P&Z to review the conditions set forth in the council's decision, and that it would most likely be heard at the council's regular meeting on June 23rd. With that in mind, the appellants were surprised to learn that the findings of fact and conclusions of law would be on the agenda for review at tonight's meeting, and that the amended SDP, which was the subject of the appeal, had been withdrawn by the appellee, Mr. Hobbs. That information was included in the administrator's report in the agenda packet. Another issue of concern is that the minutes of that appeal hearing do not adequately reflect the testimony and evidence presented for appropriate documentation of the proceeding, and in fact refer to an incorrect SDP in the motion presented. Further, the withdrawal of SDP 2603 should be presented to the councilors as part of the appeal proceeding itself, and does not in and of itself relieve the appellee from his responsibilities under the original SDP. I present these concerns for your consideration in addressing items number 1 and 3 on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Again, Mayor, councilors, and fellow Coraleños, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Salome Ward.
Hi, Salome Ward, East Meadowlark Lane, Dallas. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for what each of you does. One thing I just wanted to remind everyone here is, I don't know, it raises my hackles now every time I hear commercial zone, because we don't have a commercial zone in Corrales. We have a neighborhood commercial zone. So everyone seems to always forget the neighborhood part. We're all neighbors here, and it's a neighborhood commercial zone. So I think we should all be concerned about the enjoyment and the health and the well-being of all of our neighbors. So I was going to talk about division. Like so many times right now, it seems that there's division, and I still believe that we have so much more in common. And ultimately, what we all want is to enjoy our lives here in this beautiful village and to have good neighbors, whether or not they're residents, whether they're businesses, whether they're both, whether they have roofs, whether they're, you get the idea. So anyway, I hope that we all could always be good neighbors to each other. I would like to add my support my neighbors that just came up here and spoke. I'm also on East Meadowlark, and I share their concerns about the property at the corner there of the corner of Corrales Road. But one thing I also wanted to mention, recently I've been to meetings regarding a liquor license, regarding an appeal, all kinds of things. And it's a great learning process, but sometimes it's frustrating because it seems that there's inconsistencies or there are rules that are hard to understand, especially with regards to quasi-judicial or quasi-legal. I forgot what the official term is. Recently, at an appeal, attendees were told that only the appellants would be allowed to speak. But then afterwards, someone said to me, where did they get that rule from? That's not true. If you were part of the initial hearing, you were also allowed to speak. So sometimes there's frustrating things like that happen. Sometimes it appears that, sorry, like the administrator, sometimes you put your finger on the scale in the way things are presented, and you should be impartial. Like that shouldn't happen. So that's frustrating. And also recently at the liquor license hearing, God, it's hard to say this in front of everyone. Okay. One of the council members accused people that were opposing the liquor license. There was talk about people intentionally being misleading and lying, and particularly under oath, because you have to swear an oath when you speak at a quasi-judicial process. In the end, after the meeting, it was all cleared up. It was a misunderstanding, but in the meantime, that accusation stuck. It stayed there, that people that were exercising their right and speaking out against something were kind of accused of being misleading and lying. So I just want everybody to be careful. You're all our neighbors as well, and let's try to bring the temperature down instead of make it worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Eddie Chavez.
My name is Eddie Chavez. I live at 10 Mountain View Lane on the north end of Corrales. Mountain View Lane is just north of the Harvey Jones Canal and just south of the S-curves that are going on the way towards the tree farm. Mountain View Lane has 3 other families that live on Mountain View Lane as well as myself. On a daily basis and on multiple occasions, I have to exit or enter from Mountain View Lane onto Corrales Road, 130 feet from a blind curve. On a daily basis, I have to cross Corrales Road to pick up my mail, 2.35 seconds from a blind curve. On a frequent basis, I have a close encounter with a vehicle coming around that blind curve as I exit onto Corrales Road or cross to pick up my mail. On a frequent basis, I get harassed for slowing down to turn into Mountain View Lane. On a frequent basis, I think to myself, one of these days, this has been going on for over 45 years that I've lived on Mountain View Lane, except that it's happening more frequently. I have witnessed several dozen accidents, 2 utility poles taken out, a gas meter leaking gas with a wrecked car on top of it, fences and walls knocked down, and even dead people. I am here to request that the Corrales Police Department effectively increase their presence and enforcement of the speed limit on our portion of Corrales Road. Actions speak louder than words. Let the actions of me and my neighbors today please take into account the actions that we take and let our words speak for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Russell Trujillo.
I'm Russell Trujillo, 7596 Corrales Road. I'm Eddie Chavez's one of his neighbors. And we've been up here before talking about the traffic. And it's still a problem down there. I do appreciate Councilor Mira. He's helped us out quite a bit. I did talk to Steve Lescue the other day. I caught him down there. They were taking pictures of the trees that need to be removed. I know it's going to be a long process, but you know, we're still behind you, and we still would like to see something done down there, you know. And we noticed tonight when I was coming, the S-curve sign in the South Brown Lane, it's been down for about 2 or 3 days now. Somebody ran over it. And you know, we'd really like to have some police presence down there. We do see it occasionally at the tree farm. The other day I went down Loma Larga and I seen 3 police cars at different areas. But I'm sure, you know, Loma Larga doesn't have probably 10% of the traffic we have in Corrales Road on that side. So it'd really be nice to have some police presence down there and slow down that traffic. We also had an event down there, I guess it's been a month and a half ago, where we had trucks. I don't know what the regulations for truck traffic is on Corrales Road, but we had nonstop truck traffic for a month and a half down there. The big trucks moving back and forth, probably 80,000 pounds of load on those trucks. I know the highway wasn't made for that. Either was Loma Larga. They were coming from the 528 project in Rio Rancho, coming down Corrales Road, and they were going somewhere over by the old church and back and forth all day. And it's pretty annoying. It's just one of those things. And another thing that we need some enforcement on is these new, the trash trailers. I mean, just today I was working out in my field. I counted in 2 hours, I counted 5 of these trash trailers. I don't know if you know what I mean. They seem like they're everywhere. Every contractor has one now, but they're all going to the county dump. And it's nonstop. Some days it's nonstop. Some guys have their loads tied down, but I have picked up a lot of trash off the highway in front of my house from stuff just bouncing off those trailers. And sometimes I think they're going to stop and come and pick it up, but they never do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one.
Isabella Trujillo?
Hello, Isabella Trujillo, 7596 Corrales Road. I will also express, as my neighbors and father have explained, that it's a very dangerous S-curve down there at the north end of Corrales. And we are continuing to live with it. And I hope we can get some sort of resolve with that as well. I'd also like to mention for the public that the Corrales Farmland Preservation program has been opened again. Application program has been opened again as the council had approved it. And I want to make sure that that is known for the public. The application process closes on June 22nd. So we've got about 2 weeks. So any landowners interested in placing their property in a conservation easement, please reach out to the village about that process. So you can find the application on the village website. It's also, you can go to the admin office and get it. You can return it in person or email it back. And then the process will begin from there. So if anyone is interested or has questions, I do have some flyers available, or just go to the village website and check that out. This is one of the only programs that the village offers to support farming in Corrales, so please take advantage of it. And yes, this is a really important program that we have here. You could potentially get some money out of it. So we need to really support our agriculture, our farmers in this village. And this is one of the, one way that we can really do that. And again, please continue supporting local agriculture. Come to the growers market every Sunday, 9 to noon until November. We are there. And there's a lot of food that we are producing here in the village and people need to eat it. So please come to the market, get your food, and help us continue supporting agriculture in the village. And that also helps with less traffic on the roads because there's less houses being developed, so there's less cars. So more property is being used in farmland. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Rand Garfield.
Hello, I'm Rand Garfield. I'm at 7532 Corrales Road. And I'm speaking about the blind curve at the north end. My family has lived in Corrales for over 50 years. And our property is located between the Jones Channel to the south and the tree farm to the north. We are dead center on the infamous blind curve. There has been much property damage over these years, including fence damage, gas meters having to be relocated, mailboxes being run over, power poles being knocked over, and also some fatalities. The yellow arrow signs put on the curb by the highway department in front of our property have even been mowed down. The work done by the village government so far is much appreciated. With the ever increasing amount of traffic, it is becoming more treacherous to pull in and out of our driveways and to cross the road on foot when we irrigate our property. A concentrated police presence is needed to slow down the traffic on this blind curve, and a reduction of the speed limit would help the most. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Ken DeHaul.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I'm Ken Dehoff. I live at 7648 Corrales Road, or at least it was 7648 Corrales Road before Lori Stout made me name my driveway. It's now Bad Coyote, so we're Bad Coyote Farm. And we are 100 feet south of the tree farm, and I'm here to support my neighbors to mention that we all met with Representative Cates and Councilor Miera last year. We had what I thought were really good, productive conversations about doing something to improve safety. I just, my mailbox story is that I see UPS and FedEx trucks cross the yellow line, cross the dividing line coming up to our house, and then they correct right into where my mailbox is. So I just have to be very mindful of not being at my mailbox when I see something coming up from Mountain View. And I can see that and say, okay, as long as it's clear, I got enough time to get up, get my mail, and get out of there. And so it would be helpful to follow through on what we talked about last year. And I'm going to give you a word and some personal advice called persistence with my second topic, which is that tomorrow evening in the Sandoval County Commission, the County Commission is going to be voting to determine that the Sandoval County Assessor has abandoned her role by taking a job with the state treasurer. I don't know if anybody has seen the Larry Barker article about that. If you haven't, it's worth seeing. And you all know that I have been one word persistent on trying to protect the rights of landowners in Corrales. And I'm doing it with my own property, but persistence requires effort, and it requires continuous effort. I mean, the mayor showed up here regularly. I mean, if you remember, we have a number of people that show up regularly on an issue. That persistence is, I think, what we on the north end are asking from the council to help us improve safety. on the north end of Corrales Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Next. Next item is the Counselors Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate. It's to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Any counselors? Councilor Mira.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to just take some time to, not on the agenda, so therefore I'll say, wanted to thank all of you for showing up, but specifically my constituents who have been very kind and taking their time, understanding that we need to take our time with the state, but I continue working with them and they continue working with us. And so I want to thank them for coming and tell them that, as I've told you, you make your statements here and they're going record, but mostly we get used to seeing you. And then maybe we think, maybe it's nice if we didn't see them so much. So because we took care of their issues. So I want to thank you for reminding us of what we need to do. And I'll end it, Mr. Mayor, by just saying what bothers me the most, these people do have to cross from one side of the street to the other to get their mail because we can't move the mailboxes. They might get run over, but no, not the people in mailboxes. But nonetheless, you have to cross the street, and to me, that's so disturbing. But everybody else along Corrales Road has to do that too. So thank you very much for reminding us of what we can do to help you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Any other counselors who would like to speak? Okay. Next item, consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilor Murray and Councilor Woolman, then Mira.
All right, yeah, so with the application for the Harvest Festival and closing on Corrales Road, how do residents get to the post office on those days when the road is closed?
I don't know.
I'm just curious because it does say road closure, but if residents need to get to the post office, especially on Saturday when it's open, they need some mechanism by which they can get to the post office.
I know in the past you've been able to go in and park at the rec centers. I don't know if they can park there and walk. We'll find out for you.
Well, I mean, post office obviously has their own parking lot. That's federal property. So if anybody is using that for the Harvest Festival, they may be in violation of federal law. So I don't know. But it seems like to me that we need to have that, discussed.
Yeah, Councilor Woolman.
A very minor point, but on the ditch run application, I think it should probably read that this is the third year of the ditch run rather than the 30th year. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Mira.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two different questions. One would be going back to Pamela's first statement and all those that were here on Church Road. Anyone, but I was looking for P&Z. Do we even have, even if we could, if we don't have a special zoning for a scrapyard at all in Corrales? We do. We don't.
think we do.
So there's no sense, even if somebody's doing it legally or illegally.
Lori is here.
Oh, Lori, is she here? I used to. Oh, there you are. I'm used to seeing you in the back. Lori, you could answer it from back there or whatever. I mean, is there such a? Okay, that'll be fine. You understand my question, right? Is there such a thing as a? I know in other counties and other areas, and other cities, they do have. Do we even have such a thing as a permit for a scrapyard?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Especially not in a residential area. If somebody tried to do that as a commercial enterprise, they would have to do a site development plan and it would be subject to that review.
Okay.
But there's no such thing for residential.
So if we find somebody in violation of whatever it is, and they have a scrapyard, we're violating.
Correct. We can, if you're talking about the clean and lean property,
Yeah.
that's going away too. The clean and lean is far from dead. It is not substantially compliant. They built yet another new building. So we're gathering bids to get rid of that and the scrap and whatever, tires, et cetera.
And going along that same, is there such a thing as a construction yard? Or is it the same thing that we do or do not have any permission for?
Well, I can tell you there was a residence that got a home occupation. And it was a very small one. It was supposed to be an office for a construction company. And over the years, about 20 years, it morphed into a full-on construction yard. And after much, appealing and court case, et cetera, it was removed. So that's over and above what would typically be allowed for any home occupation. Again, if it's commercial, it would be subject to P&Z review, but not in a residential zone.
Thank you. And the final one is, I guess it was Amy, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but said on the consent agenda, 1 and 3 were maybe out of whack, or is there any thing that we need to know about it as council or myself as counselor?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. 1 and 3, what?
On the consent agenda, 1 and 3, I believe.
I think she meant the findings of fact.
Okay, so where's that one on the next page? No, it's under consent agenda, right?
Yeah, that's number 1 on the consent agenda.
Are those in line? Maybe I should ask Melanie. Are we okay if we do, because we know it's the consent agenda, if we approve the consent agenda, are we approving those, and are they online? They're okay?
Yes, those are written by our attorney, and this is what would go if it progressed to somebody taking it to magistrate court. That would be what the
way
court.
to do it.
Yes, that the court would look at those findings of fact. So this is the sort of the official record that goes in hand with the minutes, and we do have a typo in the minutes for those under the motion. It says 2602 site development plan 2602. I believe it should be 2603. Okay. So we'll make that correction before those get posted.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilor Murray?
Back to the Harvest Festival. Are they not using the Lawn Trial Park and the village parking facilities for Harvest Festival? But I did not see any drawings as there were last year. And I'm just curious, are they using these 2 facilities as well, or is it just going to be a rec center?
They are using those for the artists, the vendors, and then the other vendors will be in the admin.
In our packet.
I am not sure.
Because what I was curious about, and I asked this question last year, I'm going to ask again this year, is of the applications that the village has received, how many are within the village and how many are outside the village? In terms of business licenses, the applications that go with the Harvest Festival.
Is anybody from the Harvest Festival here tonight?
Tony is.
It's always a good idea for anyone who has
They're
a consent agenda item.
They're right there.
Tony's here.
Tony Messick.
Why don't you get up and answer the question, please?
I'm sorry, Counselor, ask me again. I heard most of it, but I'm not sure what the final question was.
All right, final question is, how many applications have you received that are from within the village? And how many applications are from outside the village?
For the vendors, for the
Yes.
food trucks,
for the vendors.
The short answer is, I don't have, and I don't know that we tabulate. We can, it's not all that terribly difficult. How many of the artists are Coraleños? How many are from outside the village? Well, it would be easier because we used to give the Coraleños like a $10 break or something. And the food trucks, I don't believe any of the food trucks are from are based within Corrales or owned by Coraleños.
I would tend to agree with that.
I think off the cuff, Sandy's here. She might have a better idea.
Well, I mean, last time it was by business licenses purchased at the village offices by those requiring, because they had to be licensed within the.
We do mandate that they get a business registration.
Yes.
That they may not be here without that registration.
Right. So I was just curious if maybe the village had something, with that.
Can I interject a thought on that? Any business that's already in the village wouldn't go get a business license for the Harvest Festival. They would already have one. So that would be a tough metric as well, because if they're already operating in compliance, they already have a business license.
But the village should have if he's got a list it should match up with the village licenses.
Right, I think if you apply for a vendor table, it seems like you put your address down on it, on that vendor application.
That is required on that
Right.
form.
And so you should, the data should be there as far as where the vendors are from.
If, I don't think I'm committing us to too much. We can get that information to you. The food trucks, I'm pretty sure.
I'm just curious, as to participation, how many are inside the village are participating versus outside the village.
We also have the businesses that are staged over here right around this building. And I think most of those are not Corrales. When we get to the artists, I think a good percent, a very solid percentage are not
I was
Corrales.
just curious too, also why the maps weren't included for the village parking lot in La Entrada.
I know they were in because I submitted the event app.
Okay.
So I know they were attached.
Yeah, it may have, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't involved in that part, but it may have been when it got brought over from the Parks and Rec Commission. Maybe a page got misplaced. I'm not too sure, but we can track that down. And also just a point of order, if we want to discuss items on the consent agenda, they really should be pulled off for discussion. So we're really kind of out of order here. So just saying.
Does anybody want to pull an item off of the agenda? Counselor Woolman.
Yes, only for points of clarification, all the issues dealing with para, just so we can get a further explanation for the police and fire and the staff.
Can we pull those off as a group or do we have to pull them off individually?
As a group is
I
fine.
can make a motion. So just make a motion to pull off items 4 through 8.
I make a motion, we remove items 4 through 8 from the consent agenda for further discussion.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay.
So then we should approve the motion for the consent agenda. And then you can move on to those.
Yeah. Unless somebody wants to discuss this some more. Items 1 through 3, any more discussion? Okay, so there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Also, items 7 and 8, or I'm sorry, 9 and 10. They're on the back of the agenda.
And 9 and 10. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Going to the items 4 through 8 now. They were withdrawn from the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve them to start discussion?
Motion to approve.
Any
Second.
Discussion now.
Mr. Mayor, I raised this issue. We have a number of members of both fire and police and village staff here tonight. And I just wanted to add what the administrator said earlier, how much we appreciate all their efforts. We actually had two firefighters come out and do a fire inspection to back up the business license application for the Animal Rescue Group for the Harvest Festival today. And they were terrific. And it's just emblematic of what this village has. And perhaps, Melanie, you could talk about the history of where you said it's taken many, many years to get to this level.
Yeah.
And what it really means for our employees.
Yeah. So what this means is now the police and fire department are at the highest level. When they retire, they will get the maximum amount available to them. So if somebody were to start now and they worked the right number of years, they theoretically could retire on 100% of their highest salary when they do retire. So our current employees who have been with us a long time, they get different buckets. So they get the buckets that they earned when we were under, plan 1 and plan 2 and then plan 3. We're skipping plan 4 and now we're going to plan 5. So this really will take care of our firefighters after they've completed their careers here with us and our police department. Sorry, Chief. Didn't mean to forget you guys. So police and fire. And also this process for these 5 resolutions, we started this almost exactly a year ago. So I was looking back in my emails last night, and this kicked off, I believe, July 7th of last year with Deputy Chief Latin had sent an email to our para representative and said, how do we start this process? And we have multiple emails back and forth of, this is what you need to do. And then we would wait for them, and this is what you need to do. So we would send them, our drafts, and then we'd have to wait a couple of weeks and then we'd get those back. So yeah, just this portion has been a year in the making.
But this also affects village employees,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Thank you for keeping us safe. Be safe out there. So yeah, so the remainder of the village employees that are under Municipal Plan 2, unfortunately, Plan 2 is the highest we can go for our municipal staff. They do offer up to Plan 4, but they locked out Plans 3 and 4 a long time ago before the village had the opportunity to take advantage of that for our municipal employees. So what we're doing for our municipal staff is the village is picking up a portion of their contributions, so that this will pick up the contributions for police and fire, so that they don't pay any more into, or they aren't having deducted from their paycheck any more than they currently are under Plan 3. So the village is picking up the remainder of that. And then for municipal staff, they're dropping from the 12 points, I think it's 12.65% down to about 9%. And, I know when you look at the resolutions, it looks weird because it says, we're picking up 48%, but it's a percentage of a percentage. And I had to break out my math brain and go back to, high school algebra and be like, okay, I'm doing a percentage of a percentage. And we had some discussions back and forth about what was the proper way to do that. So, but yeah, no, this has been a very long process. And this was the dream back when they very first voted for para 19 years ago. So.
As part of many other reasons.
You hear their presence right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd like to thank public safety too. And as I wrote in the mayor's report, New Mexico is #1 in property crimes, #2 in violent crimes. And fortunately, Corrales is #1 probably in the state in having a good crime record. And a big part of that is probably our public safety, our police, and our fire departments. And so I think they really make us a place to live. And I think giving them an increase in their para helps retention. I mean, that's a big thing. We're competing with municipalities who have more bucks than we do. Yeah. And to keep our roles of public safety employees, we have to compete somehow, and sometimes we can't compete salary-wise. So the para really helps. And so I really encourage support of this.
Yep. Thank you.
Councilor Mira.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully, just a real quick question. Tanya, on this one, if you can go back about 20-some years ago, maybe 30, unfortunately, we had a PERA situation and an ERB situation in Santa Fe. Are you familiar with that a little bit?
Mayor, Council Administrator Romero, yes.
Okay, and you know how that one was unequal, and boy, they've been trying to make that equalized as representative over here for the last 30 years. Does this help, or if not, does it make it equal and even if you're doing Plan 5 and doing 46% and the 23%? Will that even and make it equal starting from here on out?
So, Mayor, Council Administrator Romero, if you mean equal to what most municipalities do, no.
So equal to each other in terms of.
So there's tier 1.
Yeah.
So to be in tier 1 for para, you had to be into para before July 1st of 2013.
Okay.
So some of us are old enough. I think there's 3 of us still left that are in tier 1. And then I got 2 back there that are in tier 2. So the main things that changes is tier 1, we're at a 20-year retirement. We can go up to 100. I will remind you, I'm blended. I'm 1, 2, 3, and 5. So, but people who are tier 1 technically can go to a 20-year retirement, or stay, and then it builds up to 180, 100% of their top
3 years. Tier 2 employees, it's 25 years, and then they can build up.
Okay.
What we proposed when Chief was doing this is, right now, Fireplace, we pay 13% of our salary to para, what we pay. You're paying 20.8. This is off the top of my head. Police pays 10% of their salary to para. Village staff pays 12.65. We propose just to keep it, well, we first proposed to keep it at 10 and 12.5, but we went to 3 instead. So then we proposed to keep it at 12.5 or 13 and 10.5 and then drop the others. You can only pick up 75%. That is state law. State law says a municipality cannot pick up any more than 75% of the employees' para. So a lot of municipalities do pick up all but 4%. But we knew that this is the village, so we said, we've been doing this. Our staff is surviving. We'll do it this way.
Okay.
And we respectfully hope you vote for it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Murray.
Yeah, so that does raise a point, though. If you hire somebody who has a number of years, either 1 or 2, does it take him X number of years to get to the number 5, or are they automatically moved into step 5?
Mayor, council, and Administrator Merrill, that's a really good question. I've actually done a lot of research on that recently because I've been with the village and Chief's been with village since 96. I've been here since 97 before para. So we could buy time. We could buy time to retire at a lower rate than airtime. But what they're going to do is they're going to look at how long I was at 1, how long I was at 2, how long I was at 3, how long I stay at 5. And there's math calculations they're going to do and say, because right now for fire, and I believe police, it's 3.5 is our tier 1 multiplier. They're going to look at all of us and say, this is your number. You were at 2 for so long, 2.5 for so long, you're at 3.5 for so long, and they're going to multiply it together, and maybe I'm 3.2. I won't know till I go sit down with para, but they are going to blend it. So the longer I'm in para 5, the better it is. But for Chief trying to build, so when we all retire, that you have staff that have been here and want to continue serving the public in the way that we've grown accustomed to, they will be not blended.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on this? So we're prepared. Go ahead.
Move approval.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, are we including 4 through 8 then?
Yes.
Okay, well, you make a motion then.
Just as a generic point of order, because we pulled them from the consent agenda, we have to go through them one by
One at a
one.
time?
I
Okay.
apologize for that, but it is just the way it has to be. Thank you.
You're the worst.
In that case, I move approval for item number 4.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yeah,
Oppo-
a roll call vote because it's a resolution.
Okay.
It's gonna take a little time.
Roll call vote, Councilor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight. Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Yes, 4 times.
Motion
Nice
carries.
try.
Can I have a motion to approve item number 5?
Approve item 5.
Any
Second.
Any discussion? So we'll call for a roll call vote. Councilor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight. Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Yes.
Good. Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve item number 6? in consent?
Second.
We'll give it tonight. Councilman.
Counselor Knight.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
No. Roll call.
No.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Councilor Murray.
Yes.
Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Knight. Councilor Woolman.
Aye.
Councilor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Good. Item number 6. May I have a motion to approve item number
moved.
6?
Item 7, I think.
Item 7, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight.
Aye.
Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve item number 8 now?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Counselor Murray.
Yes.
Counselor Burkett.
Aye.
Counselor Knight. Counselor Woolman.
Aye.
Counselor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Motion carries. So items 4 through 8 all were approved. Chief, you want to say a few words?
Mayor, Council, Administrator, just want to say thank you. I'm looking up here at the pictures of the mayors and stuff, and I heard a word earlier about persistence, and I could tell you that I wasn't always, chief at the time, but we've always been an advocate for our staff and employees. And when I became chief, I've been persistent to the point of, every budget we have to look at, do we do a cost of living, or can we increase our costs or our employees' wages? And it was almost like even in odd years. And then the odd years we were like, how can we try to justify Paris? So it's literally 19 years in the making. And I just want to, Mayor, thank you for, our budget meetings and hearing us out. The police chief's behind me here. I'm speaking on behalf of the fire department, but this is huge for us as far as my staff here for me all the time. Thank you, and what a good job they're doing. But tonight, with your vote, you're showing not only the staff of the village, your employees that serve this community, how much you appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I echo what the fire chief said, just thank you, and we're confident it's going to help with recruitment and retention, which has been a battle for us, competing with these large agencies in the metro area here, and may have already worked. We have a guy starting with us on Tuesday, and we told him it wasn't a done deal yet, but this was one of the selling points, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, what question if I could?
Yes, Councilor Murray.
Could both the chiefs tell us where your staffing levels are at right now?
We are at, will be Tuesday at 16 out of 17 sworn positions, so that's a 6% vacancy rate, and we have another applicant who is certified in the background phase right now. If we do reach full staffing in the 17 out of 17 budgeted positions, it'll be the first time since 2021. At which time we were only budgeted 15 positions. When we got bumped up to 16 and then to 17, we never reached the maximum number.
Thank you, Chief.
So thank you.
I apologize, I didn't hear the question.
I was just wondering where your current staffing levels at are. How many positions are open, or are you full staff? Or
Mayor, Council, we're at full staff. We have hired, our vacancies have been filled. So we're currently in the process of training them. We started last week. This is the second week in training, and we're starting with internal trainings with wildland. We're focused on wildland fire that we could do in-house. And then we're actively looking for EMT classes availability. And then of course the Fire 1, Fire 2 certifications through the state of New Mexico at the Socorro Academy.
So thank you very much, Chief.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next item, old business number 1, consideration, action, and approval of resolution 2615, publication for ordinance 2602, an ordinance providing no parking areas along residential streets neighboring commercial establishments. May I have a motion to open this up?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion, a second. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So, in looking at this draft, I have come to the conclusion that the parking ordinance does not belong in zoning. I believe it belongs somewhere either in 1492, which is I think the current legal or where things are cited, but it needs a little bit of work. I'm not totally agree. I mean, I don't totally disagree with all the language, but I think it just needs to be reorganized and put into 1492 rather than under 1839. Also, there are concerns I have about the changing the seating ordinance, because there are some issues there that we haven't addressed. That is that, one, you're asking to amend the seating ordinance and not repeal the previous one. So either we need to repeal the old ordinance and insert this one as new language. Because if we don't, we're gonna have confliction, because you've got an old ordinance and a new ordinance, and there's conflicting components of both if you have both of them at the same time. So I think we need to repeal the original 1839 C2 and then insert the new language at that point. You also need to grandfather in the existing SDPs, because if you don't, then if somebody asks an amended SDP, they're going to have to come in under the new language. And is that fair for our businesses that if they have to want to amend their SDP, that now they have to comply with the new seating ordinance and the parking versus the old one that they originally got their site development plan under? So there are some things there that I think need to be addressed. I worked on this about all afternoon trying to figure out how to reorganize this. And Councilor Burkett will kill me because I got 14 different amendments that I need to add. But he's going to murder me, so step out the door, you know. But I just really think that we need to readdress this and move it into 1492 or some other location where it is now an enforcement issue and not a zoning issue.
A question might be, do you think there are different issues and they ought to be addressed different issues instead of lumped together all in one ordinance?
That does bring up the question about, we were creating a paragraph 15 that was to go in under 1492. And I think we just need to create a new subsection that deals with enforcement. And that way there was an issue where you might have an officer who might cite somebody and then he could have his vehicle towed at the same time. Now, is that correct? I don't know. But I think we need to take a look at that. And I think there are things there that we just need to resolve before we put this into an ordinance.
Councilor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. So two kind of separate points or thoughts. One is on this, what you're talking about as far as the parking per two chairs. I don't think it's a reasonable number. I went to two of our probably most reputable establishments in town from a parking standpoint. I've never heard a single complaint about overflow parking. One of them has 100 seats and 25 parking spots. The other one has 70 parking spots, and they have, I didn't go inside this place, but they have, in my mind, probably close to 200 seats. There is no way that if they were to try to come into the village, and again, these are model citizens, model businesses, there's no way they could come into the village and meet these criteria. So I just don't think it's a reasonable number. On a grander scale, and I actually think this is a very well-written policy, and I think it's something we may have to go to, but I would love to see, I think there's these spectrums that we have to look at when we're looking at all of our policies. Friendly, unfriendly, using resources that we have now versus going to get new resources, unintended consequences versus limited unintended consequences. And I think we have to have the desire to do the stuff on the left side of the spectrum whenever possible, and probably an obligation to do that. And we have empty lots in the village that we're doing site development plans on that I would like to see those site development plans happen prior to us enacting anything new on parking, with parking on those and with signs that say village parking, so we can see if that relieves the parking pressure. Because even if it relieves at 75%, then maybe we need a different version of this. But if we have empty lots sitting next to businesses, and I feel like we owe the citizens, we owe the businesses a solution, and it's sitting right there with really limited stuff, and we're working on these site developments already, that we're not doing our job if we're not putting parking on some of those and giving people a friendly an option without unintended consequences to solve this problem before we put up signs all over the village. So I would move that if we do move this thing forward, I'm going to want to amend it to where we don't do so until we have those site development plans with parking in place and we see if that solves the problem.
I'd like to bring up an issue too. Couple of things that weren't addressed in this version that had been brought up before is, where do you have the signs? What do the signs mean? And also, if Councilor Burkett wants to hold a barbecue party at his home, where can those people park? This ordinance doesn't allow that. I'll just throw something out just for, discussion. That maybe, talking about the neighborhood commercial zone, you have a sign, no park, residents parking only coming into the street from Corrales, and 300 feet back, you have another sign that addresses the traffic coming into. So you have incoming traffic on that residential road. You have no parking signs between those signs coming in from Corrales Road and coming in from interior drain, say. There will be a no parking sign 350 feet deep along that road. Another issue is having Council Burkett's barbecue party or anybody else's. I wonder whether there should be an allowance for guests of a resident. And I think it's really simple. And actually, this afternoon, I mocked up a little sign here. And something like this can be put on the dashboard of the car. And basically it says, guest, you're a guest of a resident who lives there. The resident's address is here, right below guest. So if anybody has a question, who is the host of the guest, the address is right there. There's a permit number. That's the car, Ford 250 truck, white, license plate number, and the dates. And it's just, half a dozen data points, and it allows for people to have guests at their place. Parties, graduations, so it's not no parking. No parking is simple, but yet it seems to have allowance for guests would be reasonable. I know that I and Melanie have looked into several possibilities of either doing this online, maybe through the website that we currently have, or using a separate vendor links to the website. And or, a very simple thing is a resident can just write this out. I mean, it's just the number of data is very small. It's a guest. It's got my address there. If anybody has a question, there's my address. I'm home. The license plate number, the descriptor of the car, and the date. I mean, it's just, I think it's an easy way to accommodate having guests. So I think just to throw that in the mix of, as we discussed the no parking ordinance, there are a lot of different components of this, whether, go to seating, the number of parking places per seats, tables, that sort of stuff, no parking on residential streets. I think one or two things that have been brought up is, where are the signs placed and what about guests? And I think I just like to throw this out to add to the discussion of, how we design a no parking in residential areas ordinance. Yes, Councilor Murray.
Well, so to add to that, my son lives up around Wilshire and Jefferson. And during Balloon Fiesta, they close off Jefferson, but they have a placard that gets issued by the Balloon Fiesta. Basically just says, gives them permission, as long as you got that placard in your windshield, you're allowed into the area. It doesn't require any addresses, doesn't require any information about the car, but as long as you got that placard, you're allowed into that area. That's all we have to do. We could even include, just say dates, 3 days or whatever it is, date one, it could be June 1st through June 3rd. I think that would probably cover it, but that'd be my guess.
If I may, Mayor and Council, I have been looking into different solutions for this. We did ask our attorneys to weigh in on, the legality of residential parking only. And their recommendation is that, from a legal perspective, we should have some sort of permitting process. And so I have had 2 meetings so far. One with a company called Shay2, and they do sort of a build from scratch parking solution. And so they would be able to create a website, app, whatever we want, that would be able to do these parking permits where people could register for them online. However, it would take up to 6 months and $60,000 to do that. Yesterday, I had a meeting with a company called Honk, which, you know, it's kind of fun to say. Their recommendation when I explained what the situation was, is the guy's first question was, do you have public parking available somewhere in the village? So that was his first recommendation. Second recommendation is they can do something for us, but the way their app works is you have to have paid parking, and that's how the app gets paid for. So we would then have to, we could do a solution where if a resident could prove that they live in the village, they would have to provide their car registration, which I don't know that anybody would want to do, but they would have to prove somehow that they're a resident of the village, and then they could have free parking. But then I have another meeting scheduled for tomorrow. So that's just sort of what I'm learning so far. So there are options to be able to do this sort of thing. But it just depends on how much we want to pay for it.
Councilor Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's too much rigmarole. If you live up in the Sand Hills, just go to your neighbor and say, I'm having a party tonight. There's going to be more cars on the street. If it's only for like one day for 4 hours, I don't think most people would argue with that. I think having to go and get signs and permits, it's going to be a mess, and people aren't going to like it because it's extra work. You know, down in the commercial district's a little different, but you know, up where I live,
Right.
you know, things like that, you just go to your neighbor and say, yeah, you can park there for a couple hours. It's no big deal.
Right. This would, what I said, would just pertain to the neighborhood commercial area, not the Sand Hills.
Okay, so this, you're only talking about the
Neighborhood commercial zone.
Oh.
District.
Lori would like to.
Other people? Okay.
Counselors, Mayor, Administrator, if I might, we're not going to cover the village with signs. Let me just read and kind of tell you what the intent was when planning and zoning and I were talking about this, the commission rather. It's section 1839 off-street parking requirements. That section already exists, and people who have commercial site development plan applications are referred to that section. And so what it would now say, commercial parking on residential streets upon notice by code enforcement or when warranted by ongoing public safety concerns. So we're talking about ongoing chronic issues really having to do with commercial parking in residential streets. In those instances, the village administrator may direct that any part of a residential street be posted with signs reading no parking. This will be used judiciously, and in a limited fashion, Corrales PD will have their full discretion as to how to handle a situation. I just want to assure you that it's really a limited scope. We're not talking about the neighborhood barbecue or one-offs. We're talking about chronic ongoing issues. If there was a neighborhood that had some sort of chronic ongoing issue with say a home occupation, it might be suitable in that case. But again, it would have to be upon notice by the code enforcement officer or EMS that there's this issue and it won't quit and we need to look at it there. And then the administrator would have to agree. So I just want to assure you it's not going to be blanketing the village with signs.
Actually, there are 5 persons from the public who would like to speak. So why don't we just interject that now and then we can discuss more afterwards. So Mandy?
Sandy Rasmussen.
Sandy Rasmussen, 65 Target Road. I'm going to put this in my mouth because it's the only way it works. So I am not going to dispute the parking thing, although you all had good ideas. But I just would like to bring forth the idea that if we're not going to allow parking on side streets, that we need to provide alternatives. I'd like to see both the Anderson and the Gonzalez Field have parking spaces. Anderson can cover Heritage House or whatever it's called, and the rec center. But down where the meat of the traffic is, Gonzalez is a necessary thing. So just think about this. But many of them you've already said. That we have many residents that do not live. They live in the Sand Hills up there. They can't walk down to support our village or come and enjoy it. We have an aging population that may not be able to walk very far. We have very little parking for Lawn Trotter Park that is not private property. And we seem to forget that the rural feeling we are all trying to sustain doesn't have sidewalks, which none of us, including me, do not want to see. But walking long distance is not always practical. That our rural feel can be sustained and still include those that are not residents. And since we don't have a plan yet, except for bathrooms for the Gonzalez Field, if we even could put temporary parking there and see how that works, because that was kind of what was mentioned by a lot of you. And this doesn't necessarily have to do with parking, but it is part of the problem. So the saddest thing of all is that we used to be a village that supported each other. If we had an issue, we went and talked to our neighbor. We didn't come and make an ordinance. And all this bickering, I feel, is dividing us. And that's changing the feel of our village way more than any outsiders. There are many people in this room who are Coraleños also, and we really do care about our village. So I hope that we can start to work together again and be the village that we used to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sandy.
Bob Eichworth. Bob Eichworth.
Bob Eichhorst, live in Corrales. We can't have any loopholes. Every ordinance that's being written has a loophole in it. How many signs? Is it going to be one sign from here all the way to La Entrada? No, you can't stop all that parking. Is it between signs? It's got to be spelled out. You cannot put in the ordinance that it will be done judiciously. That doesn't work. Who in the heck is judicious? You have to spell out each particular that you want to control. As soon as you start saying we can put signs here and there and in between, you've destroyed the village. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to protect the village. So be careful with your signs, be careful with your ordinance. No loopholes. In deference, it cannot be done judiciously. If we change administrators, we change P&Z, what's the next person going to do? That's what you can't allow for. You can't allow for an unknown. So everything has to be spelled out. It has to be clear as you can get. Or else there's going to be people like me that'll come up here and find holes in it and complain. So just be very careful. We don't need permits. Fred's sign is great. If you have to have colored paper, makes a damn good permit. It damn sure doesn't cost $60,000 or $6,000. Colored paper is pretty cheap. But no, let's be very careful. And I don't mind stepping on toes. I do it all the time. But don't stomp on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Charles Poling.
Hi, Charles Foley, live on Priestley Road. Feels like deja vu talking to you all about parking again. We've done this before. And this conversation sort of tore up my talking points, I think, because I see that, you know, there's maybe a new direction here. But so what I would ask, so we live on Priestley. Priestley and Corval get overflow parking from the Heritage House still, okay? You know, it still happens. There's public parking right across the street at the farmer's market. People don't use it. It's too far. And that's a tough crosswalk. And the crosswalk issue brings up the safety issue, which is that when people are parking along Priestley, if you're trying to get out, it's a choke point there with cars on both sides. If you're trying to be a pedestrian through that, good luck. And we also have cars, you know, the turn into Priestley and Corval going northbound is a little bit of a blind turn. On Priestley, we have the mailboxes right out near the Corrales Road intersection. You've got cars kind of parked on the road. It's just not a good situation. So I just ask for signs. I ask you to solve the problem. And I think exemptions can be done. And I think it's just really not accurate to say, oh, it's got to be all or nothing, because, you know, you exempt utility workers when they're working on the roadside, or a tree company. They put cones out. There are ways to handle this. You let the police know. You can handle the exemption. And of course, we are only talking about the commercial district. And right now, I think we all know the problem streets are Corval, Priestley, and East and West Elm. And they just get a lot of overflow and, you know, you can't control what the public does unless you have signs that tell them what to do. Thanks.
Mayor, can I add one comment
Yeah.
to something? So I think the distance to the parking lot is maybe a contributing factor, but the fact that the village wants to charge Heritage House to tell their patrons to use a public parking lot is another thing. They would put signs up. If there was a sign that said free public parking directly across the street and everyone saw that, the distance wouldn't be as big of a deal. But Heritage House is being told they can't use that parking lot unless they rent it from us. And that's nonsense.
No. I mean, you know, people can park in the municipal lot, you know, they can park at the bank, and it's not that they can't park there, they can't rent it. They can park there. I mean, I maybe I'm naive, but
And they put up a sign that says parking.
but
and point
I
people there.
would think that if Heritage House wants to have that lot exclusively for itself, then it pays a fee, whatever it is, $10 an hour or something, which is not much. But if someone wants, patron of the Heritage House wants to use it, hey, you know, I mean that's my sense. They can park here, they can park at the bank. Yes, Councilor Murray.
So this also brings up a good point that Councilor Burkett is addressing too. It is unsafe to cross Corrales Road from the rec center to the Heritage House. We've been after DOT.
Oh, sorry.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Maddie. See, you thought I was upset. She was really upset with how wordy you were last meeting.
It's a coincidence. Sorry.
But the point is, we've been after DOT for a lighted crosswalk at that
Right.
point. And at night, when they were having an event, getting across Corrales Road safety. I mean, we've got flags there, but they are not very good at night.
Right.
And I think it's a safety issue as well.
Yeah.
So that's paramount. If we're going to allow them to use the rec center, we're going to be liable somewhere on this hook if somebody gets killed crossing that road.
Why don't we let the two public people who signed up to speak, and then we can discuss it further. Who's next, Mandy?
Troy Howard.
Hi, Troy Howard. I live in Corrales. Dear Mayor and members of Village Council, I am writing this regarding the proposed restrictions on the parking along village right-of-ways. As a business owner, I respectfully ask that the village carefully consider the impact these changes may have on local businesses and residents they serve. Many businesses have invested significant time and resources based on the current parking conditions. Restricting parking without adequate alternatives could reduce customers' access and create unnecessary challenges for businesses that contribute to the character and economic vitality of Corrales. If the village believes parking changes are necessary, I encourage the council to work collaboratively with business owners to identify particular solutions before implementing restrictions. Options such as public parking areas, alternative parking locations, zoning modifications, or variances could help address concerns while minimizing the impact on local businesses. I appreciate your time and consideration and hope that the village will work with the businesses to find a solution that benefit the entire community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Mary Boliak.
Who is that?
Mary.
Hello again. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members, again, for bringing this important topic for discussion. In addition to the email and the photos that I sent you recently, I would like to add to the list of safety concerns already mentioned that residents and business owners are not trained to deal with the general public. And that is what we're seeing, an increased influx of the public coming into our village, into our neighborhoods. It is dangerous in this day and age to approach anyone and ask them to maybe move their car because they're blocking our driveway, blocking our trash pickup, blocking our access to our trailer when we're taking our green waste. Those kinds of things are now dangerous because we don't no, always, they're not maybe our neighbors. So there's a real need for, we need professional help in more ways than one. But we do need our law enforcement to help us on these times when we feel very vulnerable and exposed. We should not be asked to do this on our own. We don't have the skills. No parking signs are the key to the law enforcement. They are universally understood. So people coming from other communities, they get it, and we all understand it. And if we're talking about guests parking in front of my house, well, even if I wanted to have a few friends over, if the business overflow parking is all in front of my house, there's no room for my guests to park either. So what we do is we always stack people in our driveway. And sometimes we move our cars down the road. We all ask a neighbor, can we use one of your parking spots or two for our cars so we can fit more on our property? There are ways of dealing with this as residents. Is it a sacrifice? Sure. Is it an adjustment? Sure. Do we accept it because we support local business? You bet. It's worth it. And it's a unique situation, but it's the most important thing is that the children on my street are safe. They can get to the mailbox. They can walk across to the pool, to the soccer fields. And that is the most important issue here. Unintended consequences of not doing anything is that something tragic will happen eventually. Let's not wait for that. Our community does not need that black eye. We do need to make an adjustment. It's responsible growth, and we can do it. And there are sacrifices that need to be made for public safety. And our law enforcement needs the clear, distinct signage to enforce the law. And this is what they have told us. Please put the signs up for all of our safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion by Councilor Wilman?
Yeah, I strongly support Councilor Burkett and Councilor Murray looking at public parking first. I think we have some resources that we can use. I don't know where the site development plans are. We hear promises, but apparently they're in the works. But also, I think it's really important, as Councilor Murray pointed out, that if we're going to encourage people to use public parking on the west side of Corrales Road, to get to the businesses, there needs to be some kind of lighting. I mean, it's now almost 8:30, all right, 8:10, it's light. 6 months from now, it's going to be dark. And through all the winter, it's going to be dark. And people are going to be going to restaurants and bars using the public parking places. But along Corrales Road, there needs to be some lighting. Now, it has to be, I don't know what the depth is beyond Corrales Road that the village can access lighting and not interfere with this next to DOT. But there's got to be some way that we can handle that. So people are safe. That's separate and apart from the really critical issue of crossing Corrales Road. But I think that's important as well. That these parking lots are going to be not adjacent to, but somewhat near the businesses that we're discussing. And we should use them. And before, as the gentleman pointed out, before we delve into parking signs, let's see, as Councilor Burkett indicated, let's see if these parking lots work. And it may be 60%, 75%, and we can deal with the rest after that.
For Marie.
And also, one other question, if I could. The packet indicated that the sign ordinance next meeting is going to be on July 23rd. Is that July 23rd or June 23rd?
June 23rd. Well, so we have a meeting on June 23rd, and then we have a meeting in July, I believe also on the 23rd. It's that Thursday night meeting that we had scheduled. So the uniform traffic ordinance, is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, that one will be June 23rd.
June 23rd.
Yeah. Okay. And also, if I may answer your question, if it's okay, Mayor.
Sure.
The Anderson site development plan, we do have to wait until after the new fiscal year to be able to issue the PO, so we don't get ourselves in trouble with our auditor for, so that site development plan will go into effect as soon as we can issue a PO after July 1st. That one is a go.
PO for
the work for the Anderson lot to do the site development plan. To make it a parking lot. Yeah, we had,
The site development.
yes, to make the site development plan for the parking lot that council saw and voted to move forward with. For the Gonzalez property, that one is already underway. However, no parking is being considered. The only thing that we were directed to create a plan for was just those bathrooms. So that plan will not show any parking at all. You walk to the bathrooms.
Unless we choose to add that to the plan before it comes out.
Yep.
Okay.
We should do that.
Yeah. What's the pathway to do that? Just amend this motion that we do that before we do publish and post?
I think we should probably have it as an agenda item on the next meeting so that it's properly noticed to the public, and that way if somebody wants to come and show support for having parking on the Gonzalez property, they have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Councilor Murray?
Well, along those lines, and I'm going to support the public parking, but I'm also going to support that we reserve a portion of both of these lots as open space, because at some point, we're going to want to improve these properties and make them something beyond other than a parking lot. Because it's, I love open space. But a parking lot, it's kind of like, what's that song, cut down a tree and pave a parking lot or put up a parking lot. That's not Corrales. And I want to see something that reflects Corrales's values. I don't want a wire fence. I want something that looks attractive and it's going to enhance the village. So if we're going to have this as an agenda item, I would support that.
Yeah, I mean, I think parking on the Gonzalez lot is fine, but the Gonzalez lot can be used a lot more than for parking. I mean, I was a part of a group that proposed a heritage park there, and extension of La Entrada Park, and parking was part of it too, but not parking right in front on Corrales Road, but to have some vegetation buffer to make it more Corrales instead of, it's a parking lot. And so all that has to be talked about. And there are a half a dozen or so architects who are working to try to help us is going forth and getting on-call architect that will help with some of this planning. So whether it's probably better that way than the mayor or the administrator or even council sort of drawing up a plan and saying, hey, this is what we ought to do. But maybe have some expertise come in, as people have talked about, doing something professional before we just say, oh yeah, we'll make it a parking lot. But I mean, I think a parking lot should be part of it, but it is not perhaps a primary part of that real estate. Councilor Knight.
Isn't Anderson also gonna be for the growers market? So it's not just gonna be a parking lot, but it'll be also for the growers market.
The growers market can use that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like they use current growers market lot, which is, I mean, it's basically a parking lot. So they can use the Anderson.
Make sure everybody knew that that's where the growers market is probably gonna go to.
Yeah, I mean, it's got almost 2 acres, I think, the Anderson lot. So that's a lot of space for growers market on Sunday and Wednesday and Saturday and parking other times. Yes, Councilor Murray.
I'm going to call a question.
So as a reminder, the item before you is to approve this resolution 2615.
Okay, Councilor, any second?
We've already had a motion and a second to approve this.
We called the question.
Yeah, so he called the question.
Okay, I guess it's a roll call vote then.
Correct.
Councilor Miura.
So the way I'm reading this, just for clarification, is providing no parking areas along the residential streets. And that we have a call for the question on that particular issue and that particular issue only, and we're going to be.
So what you're voting on is to approve resolution 2615, which would publish and post the ordinance as written for approval in July.
Or if we want to have a parking discussion, we would.
So if you want to have a discussion,
vote no.
You would vote yeah.
Councilor Ullman?
No.
No.
Councilor Knight?
No.
Councilor Burkett?
No.
Councilor Murray?
No.
The motion does not pass. Moving along.
If I may, Mayor, does anyone want to make a motion on what to do next? So that because right now this has failed, it's gone. we will not do any further work on it without council's
I
direction.
move that we have a discussion about parking inside development plans of village-owned properties at the next available meeting that we can possibly get that on the schedule for.
I second.
Any discussion? All
I'm gonna, for the discussion phase of it, I think we're there. We probably there about a year and a half ago when I had a motion that we should get both of these properties, we see how they work together. And we already voted yes on that one. It's been a year and a half ago, but that's okay. Time heals all, but this is what we're doing and that's fine. So it's fine with me.
right. I mean, and the parking should include maybe the municipal parking lot. Because we have parking available there. Maybe it should include the Jones property. I don't know, but they're more lots than just the Anderson and Gonzalez.
The reason I brought it up is because I think we had a motion that we already voted on motion. I made a long time ago saying we should get these properties, see how they work together with one another. And I don't think we're doing anything different on that motion. So we're okay with that.
No, we're still working at that. Okay. Call the motion. Councilor Mira, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight? Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries to have a discussion at the next meeting on parking issues in the village. Good. New business, discussion and of process and possible action on the vacancy of the District 4 Council seat for unexpired term of office per statute NMSA 3-21-1. I do not have a nomination at this time for the position. And what I'd like to do is it's been recommended to open up the application process for another week and perhaps have a nomination next meeting.
How
Yes,
many?
Councilor
We
Waldman.
may have skipped an item on the power line crossing Corrals Road.
Nope, that's the next one.
That's the next one.
I'm sorry.
That's the next item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You stole my thinking.
You're trying to leave early.
Sharon.
Sharing is.
Councilor Murray.
Well, I was under the impression that we were going to postpone this item to the next meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
By state statute, it has to appear on every agenda until we get a nomination.
This has to
So-
show up on the agenda though.
And Mayor and members of council, just for the sake of keeping it a clean record, my suggestion would be to make a motion to table this until a date certain and list the next regular agenda as that date certain to have this reappear, and we can again table if necessary at that stage.
Table or
Oh,
post?
It's postponed. Table is only in the same meeting. Postpone is moving it to another meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
I would move that we postpone this item to the next meeting, June 23rd.
Any second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, consideration, action, and what? Sorry. Oh. Consideration, action, approval of resolution 26-35, approval of an overhead power line at 5311 Corrales Road pursuant to Village Code Land Use Regulations, Section 1830 Q4. May I have a motion to open this up for discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion now? Councilor Murray.
Yeah, thank you. So my only question is, and I don't know if I was looking at an old picture along Corrales Road, but it seems to me there is a tree that is next to a utility pole right there at that corner of the property. And if we're going to allow a power line to go across, I want that tree removed because it's going to interfere with power later down the road.
My name is Esther Fredrickson. I'm my partner Kenny Delap and I were the builders. So I can answer questions about the tree.
No, I'd like to see the tree removed, just basically.
Yeah, so PNM asked that we trim the tree. So we were gonna trim the tree in order to.
Is it an elm tree?
It is an elm tree.
Cut it down. I'm going to go with Evelyn Losack. She was a proponent of removing every elm tree within the village, mainly because they suck water. But I would just ask you to remove it.
Okay, I can talk to the landowner about that, yeah.
I do believe our fire chief would support that motion.
Any other questions?
He'd be better off. that elm tree is gonna be in his property in another year, so.
Any other questions for Penny?
Yes.
Yes, hi, thanks for coming.
Sure.
What is the timeline for construction?
So we haven't submitted our permit yet. Obviously, the step one was obtaining our driveway permit from NMDOT, which we did.
So they allowed, I
Yeah,
know there
we
was a
went-
question before with DOT about not alignment or something of the driveway.
So NMDOT allowed us to put the driveway on the north edge of the property, and it kind of curves south a little bit, so they were fine with the visibility for that. So yeah, we do have a DOT permit for that. So step two was getting power to the lot. There are power lines on the west side of her property, along the MRGCD ditch. PNM didn't allow us to use those because they want the power to come from the front because they have a lot of confusion with addresses when the power comes from different parts, different sides of the property. So the transformer is on the opposite side of Corrales Road from her property. So there's kind of no other way to access power for her property. Also say there used to be, prior to her engaging with us, there was an old adobe house on the property that was had been demolished. So I assume that that house had power at one point as well. But you're right, there is a tree at that corner. And there's currently a Quest communication pole with that.
So Murray.
So is the irrigation ditch, is that being used or is that out of service?
I believe it is being used.
Okay, is the idea then to run power through another pole to the house, or are you gonna run it underground?
It's going to be underground. So we are minimizing the overhead power line to the extent like really possible. We're trying to just get it over Corrales Road. And then at that point, we're going 230 feet underground to the proposed.
Are you gonna be farming the front part of that, or do they?
It's zoned agriculture. I assume the homeowner is gonna be, she has access to the irrigation ditch and I think she intends to be farming it, but.
Well, I'm curious about how deep you plan on putting the rest of the power underground, because is there a possibility that if you're farming, you're gonna dig up at or expose that power line?
No, I don't know. And we're running along the acequia there. So that's not a place that you would be tilling.
Is that that's not lined, is it?
It's not lined.
Okay, so it could be subject to water.
It's gonna, I can get back to you on that, on the depth for our electrical line, but we are obviously, gonna be, we don't want to see that electrical line get messed up.
Well, I understand. That's just a concern that if you're using the irrigation ditch, the saturation of the water exposing into the cable or the cable deteriorating because of the exposure to the water. So I'm just.
No, I don't see that being an issue.
Okay.
And it should be it's a direct buried cable, so.
Councilor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is, I guess, not specific to your application, but just a thought. It seems like the only reason we're having to do any section of overhead line is because PNM is saying that it's difficult for them to figure out someone's address if the line runs east to west instead of west to east. It seems like you guys are doing everything possible to bury as much as you can.
Right, and that's not quite correct because the line on the west side would have to cross the MRGCD ditch.
Okay. So both would have to be above ground at some point.
Yes.
Okay. But I just think for something, just food for thought for our franchise agreement with PNM, we need to discuss with them that their ease of identifying addresses is not justification for them to ask people to put stuff over Corrales Road. Because we make everyone jump through all these hoops to do a small section of overhead line. And a big reason we're doing it is just for convenience of something that's very simple to do that PNM says they don't want to do.
You would have to say that when we were going to bring you the PNM franchise as negotiated over the last year and a half, I think, at the next meeting.
Good point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've actually, the fire chief and I have gone back and forth with PNM and our attorneys on, things like the trees and undergrounding. And, I think we've reached a point where we've squeezed everything out of them that we can possibly get. But yeah, we will have a new franchise agreement for you at the next meeting, but it is very frustrating on our end too, because, you know, we would like them to meet certain conditions. And yeah, I mean, it does seem like it should be a no-brainer that they could figure out where the line is coming from,
Right.
but.
Yeah.
And an issue, I think, is that P&M charges a fairly high amount to run the line underground, whereas to run it overland is a lot less expensive. And so, you know, we're probably going to be seeing more overhead line requests come in because people feel they can't afford to go underground.
Well, and in this case too, you would have to go under Corrales Road, which would then involve DOT for a permit to go under the road.
Okay,
So-
Yeah.
they're easy to work with.
Yeah, our PNM is gonna involve NMDOT to go over the road as well.
Yeah.
So, and PNM is sort of waiting for the outcome of this variance in order to start that process.
So Murray?
Well, that brings up the question too, because if there's, I mean, yes, X number of dollars to go under the road, but what is the cost to P&M if they have to come out and service that because of a storm? The line goes down, they have to bring contractors in, and then what's the repair? You know, eventually it adds up over the years when it might have been simpler just to put it under the ground, even though the cost may be, I don't know what it is. I mean, is it 2 times?
$7,000 to go.
How much?
To 7,000 to go
underneath?
under. The $10,000 that, I mean, it's sort of a, they haven't given us a firm number
Well,
yet.
it seems like to me to bring out a contractor, if there's a storm and a pole goes down or the lines come down over Cross Road,
Mhm.
what's the cost? It's probably negligible. I mean, it's probably somewhere there's going to be your return on investment is going to be exceeding what it could have been if it had been underground.
P&M will do it. The thing is that the P&M charges the resident for it. And the resident says, hey, you know, it's a lot less expensive going
Well, I understand, but it's
overground than under.
I'll give you an example. On my property, our line runs across Grouse Road down several houses to a property. Then it goes underground to my place. I've watched the transformer on Cross Road burn because it's on the pole and something happened and, you know, it just disintegrated. But it takes out half a dozen of us that are on that line. So anyway, that's just an example.
Yeah, so the transformer itself is on the east side of Corrales Road. So
Yeah.
we're asking to put a customer owned pole, so it would be a service drop. So the transformer is already there. We're
Yeah.
not putting in a new.
Well, it just. Okay.
I
You're
mean, I was getting personal. I think 20 years ago, P&M charged us $15,000 to run a line underground for us. And that was 20 years ago. And we paid it, just we felt that, you know, we'd rather have a line underground for many reasons. But
you
we
never
had
a problem
to,
either, have you?
pardon me?
You haven't had a problem with the underground service? have you?
No. No. Any other questions for
Fire chief has a question.
Fire Chief?
Council, I believe you've heard my testimony before. I'm not in support of any more above ground utilities. We get calls. Just this last week, we've had multiple trees down, some of them involving either low voltage lines, delay in response. 2 weeks ago, we had a cottonwood tree come on a private property, fall down, pulled the overhead power line to the service head off the house, shorted out. Kind of smoldering in the box, and luckily the house didn't burn down. So hearing that they're doing everything they possibly can to make it safer in a customer-owned pole, Counselor, thank you for suggesting that the tree be removed. Ultimately, this is your decision. This is their right to appeal. But I think we could do better by making sure that even if it is a customer-owned pole and the utility is going to be overhead, that the owner of the property or if the property sells, that it's in, you know, that they have to maintain a clear area around that service and not plant trees underneath the power lines because they're just continuous, you know, it's a continual problem in the village. So thank you.
And the problem there is, you know, how do you maintain that that's not a village easement, and they're not going to give us that land. And if the owner decides to plant a cottonwood tree under it, what recourse do we have?
Correct, Mayor. You're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know how we can enforce it other than doing our due diligence, PSAs, advising homeowners to, if they have trees on their private property, that enforce, reminding them it's their responsibility. My understanding, I could be wrong, but when PNM takes their triplex or whatever service line from their pole to a customer-owned pole or to the house, the residence, that is the responsibility of that homeowner. And a lot of homeowners don't understand that. And I just think, we could do a better part in trying to educate them that if they do have trees, that they're trimmed regularly and maintained.
Thank you. Councilor Murray.
So this is a question for Lori then. When they bring you the plans for your house, is there a way we could stipulate that any power being brought into that property, that it remain free of vegetation?
We can give them a document to that effect. We already give them the dark skies ordinance, and we ask for certified as-built for the grading and drainage. But like some folks have suggested, it's hard. People still do what they're going to do, and then trees grow. We can certainly do that. We can tell them to.
And don't they have to have if the property changes hands, don't they have to have a survey done and have to have certain stipulations on it?
That's up to the title company. Sometimes they just buy a property and, we're talking, most of these are some type of new construction. And then once it's there, it's there. Once the overhead is there, it's there. And properties change hands, people plant trees, and it becomes more difficult to keep an eye on that.
Is that an ordinance that we need, or I'm just kind of throwing this out to see where it sticks?
And Mayor and members of council, it reminds me of something that you had said prior to this meeting, which is that the enforcement portion of the code is kind of an area that I think really bears looking at. And I think sort of in tandem, I'm looking at 1830, that subsection Q, that talks about these communication and electrical distribution lines. And it really doesn't address in a meaningful way anything to do with vegetation and obstruction of the lines. There are a lot of things that are sort of notably absent from this in terms of if we wanted to be able to, look out over somebody's property and see that there's a tree back there. There's really no mechanism at this stage other than saying, hey, we see that tree's awfully close to your power line. You might want to reconsider that. And that's kind of where we're limited. So it may be worth taking a look at that code in tandem with taking a look at enforcement provisions and seeing, is this something, obviously one of the reasons that this is here is that the biggest concern is public safety. And if there is a meaningful way to get underground access, because it would be a better benefit to public safety. I think we just heard Chief tell us that. So it may not be strictly necessary except for those lots where they already have overhead lines sort of running through them, running near them, adjacent to those lot lines, where you might be considering granting this sort of with conditions, right? There's no ability to give conditions at this stage the way it's written.
Councilor Woolman.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, is that a possibility that you could think about working on an ordinance that would help you in terms of vegetation under power lines going forward?
Absolutely, Mayor, Councilor.
There must be model legislation out there somewhere.
Yeah, and I've done some research and looking at some of the different ordinances and regulations and, some enforcements starting in California because, some of the wildfires have been caused and some are under investigation for, utility lines or some sort of power line. And so I'd be happy to take on that task. I'd like to work, with our code enforcement, planning and zoning, and also, maybe we can parallel the PNM's, vegetation management. So we can help each other. So when they're coming through and cleaning up their power lines or distribution lines, we're also doing our enforcement at, on the ground, educating the public and trying to come up with some of the rules to help us make our community safer.
Some of the major fires in New Mexico have been power lines going through national forest, and that the cleared area wasn't wide enough So when there was a problem sparking, whatever it was, it touched off these major wildfires.
Right.
So using that as somewhat of a model and some of the California experiences.
Yeah, and
might
Mayor,
help.
Counselor, planning and zoning and I, we've had this discussion and they're doing their part when they have a new site plan or a plat coming before that, vegetation, landscape requirements and stuff. That's great if you have a certain amount of trees or shrubs you have to put on your property. Just don't put them in roads and don't put them underneath power lines.
And make sure they're not elm trees.
So thank you.
Councilor Murray.
I would move that we amend the motion to require the removal of the elm tree at the corner of the property.
Any second to that?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on that?
Well, one, I think the tree needs to be removed mainly because it's going to interfere with the power lines sooner or later. And two, it sucks water like crazy. I mean, it's an elm tree. And so I think we'd be better off if we just had it removed. That eliminates the issue of the power lines being interfered in later in life.
Any more discussion on that?
I mean,
Councilor Burkett and Councilor Knight.
my agreement is in sheer deference to the chief's vastly superior knowledge to me of the fire danger of these trees and lines. And so his concern becomes my concern.
Councilor Knight.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you think there's going to be a problem with the homeowner about removing this tree? I mean, is it like give a lot of shade to the house or?
No, it's
is it
not,
just
it's,
kind of
it's not a
out of
nice tree.
nowhere?
Yeah, it's not a nice tree. It's just the cost of having to remove it. So that, but if that's a condition of your approval, then we'll just tell her and that if she wants power, that's what she's gonna have to do.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
You.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was,
Resolution.
that was just a vote to approve the amendment. Now you need to go back and vote on the original motion with a roll, yes, with a roll call vote.
Okay.
So you're voting on approval of the line with the stipulation that they remove the tree.
Right. Councilor Miera, how do you
Yes,
vote?
sir.
Councilor Waldman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'd like to take a moment to thank Representative Cates for attending our meetings. Is there another candidate in the room right now? Anyway, we appreciate you coming and attending and being aware of the thorny issues in Corrales sometimes. And oh, thank you very much for coming and being concerned and aware. Next item, consideration action approval of resolution 26-35, approval of an overhead power line at 5311 Corrales Road pursuant to Village Code Land Use Regulation Section.
Next item.
That's
We
the
just,
next-
we just approved that
that's the
one.
same
Yeah.
Number 3, consideration action approval of resolution 26-36, approval of an overhead power line at Lot B, Targeta Lane pursuant to Village Code Land Use Regulations Section 18-30 Q4. May I have a motion to open this up?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, I
Councilor
believe this
Murray,
is-
is somebody here from that land, that property?
Mayor, I believe those are two contiguous lots. A and B are part of what we just voted on previously. It's the same address. She just left.
Oh, okay.
Lori, are you aware of that being the case?
It's a separate property,
Yeah.
separate residence.
Yeah.
The one that you just voted on is 5311 Corrales Road. It's on the west side of Corrales Road. This is farther north, heading east off Targeta Lane.
So, and Lori, correct me if I'm wrong. This one is literally just P&M refusing to let them connect to their pole.
Correct.
Is that-
That is their new stance, that they won't let anyone
So
connect
we
to the
have
pole.
these fancy power lines that bring power to people, but we can't touch the fancy power lines that bring the power to the people. We have to make another power line that gets the power line from the one we can't touch to the
So-
one we can touch.
Correct.
And then
So-
bury it.
Communities like Rio Rancho that are very strict with overhead, or I'm sorry, with underground, There's a P&M has come up with something, it's a riser, and I'm trying to figure out how tall it is. It's not, certainly not as tall as a telephone pole. It's some kind of a metal thing, and so the power comes off of the pole, connects to that little riser, and then goes underground from there. So that's what undergrounding communities are doing, and it's my understanding that
Is
this,
that in our franchise agreement?
I will have to go double check.
I have the diagram, Administrator
Although
Romero.
it does say in keeping with the ordinance.
Yeah, the franchise agreement with P&M does say they have to abide by all of our ordinances. So whatever, and we aren't specific about, you have to follow 18 because the things can change. So it just says they will abide by all the village ordinances. So.
Councilor Murray?
Well, I guess the question is bringing the power across from Targeta to Lot B, did they have to get an easement from the owner of Lot A?
I don't know.
Because
Is
they're
the
going-
landowner here at all or
Because they're okay.
over there?
Okay.
You can't build
The
it.
representative? No?
Then it kind of makes it a moot point then.
Yeah. You can't build a house, separate houses here.
Chief, would you like to say something?
Another quarter from me.
When they do it, yeah.
Mayor, council, thank you. I don't want to repeat what I said earlier. I think I got my point across. My concern on this one was looking at the diagram. And I understand that the power is there on Targeta. Just lost my page. But it looks like they're trying to put the pole right in the middle of Lot B. And maybe Lori can clarify, but my suggestion would be that the pole stay, if P&M doesn't allow an underground conduit to be attached to their pole, that a new owner pole be put where the existing poles are along that line of Targeta with underground service underneath Targeta Lane to Lot B. Does that make sense?
Will that
and
work
that-
if they don't own both lots? I don't know. I mean, if they own both lots, that works. But can they force another pull on someone else's lot?
Yeah, so I have some questions just based on the diagram that I see. Or it might require trenching down Targeta Lane if they have rights to that for access and utility easement, because they have a utility easement, obviously, if the power poles are going on the north side of Targeta.
This
But that
one
would
may
be
need
my
to get
recommendation.
postponed until we can ask some questions.
Yeah. I mean, Councilor Woolman?
Mayor, can I ask Laurie? I pass that property every day. It seems to me that, are you suggesting that these are two separate perhaps not owners, but two separate lots and there'll be two separate houses potentially?
On Targeta, correct. I mean, it's being farmed now. There's a Lot A and there's a Lot B.
Right. How large are each of the lots? Do you know?
Gosh, I did look it up.
They
Let me
look
see if I can eyeball it.
pretty equal.
Well, I'm going to say they're about an acre each. I looked up the plat. There was an amended plat that wasn't that long ago, so I can reasonably assume they're about an acre each. Legally platted lots that could be in the future. There's farming occurring now, but they could contain houses. In the
So if I'm looking at this picture that we have in the packet, there's Targeta Lane to the south.
To the
And then
north.
it's Lot A, Lot B, right? And
Yeah.
And then there's an open space just below the line. Is the land below that line where the outline is for lots A and B, is that part of it as well? Because I don't think they're an acre each, A and B.
I'm pretty sure they are. It's very hard to see, but they're rectangular lots. And to the south of Lot A and Lot B, it looks like there's another road. But what that is the Indigenous Farm Hub, I believe, and a separate property. So where you see what looks like a road to the south of Lot A and Lot B is simply just their farming access on another property.
Seems to me that there are, questions about this, and without the property owner here, I mean, are we going to make conditions that the property owner has to abide by without the property owner having discussion and input? I just wonder whether that person or a representative, like in the previous item.
And this does say that the power is for farming activities, not a home.
Is
I don't know if that makes a difference.
Is the owner proposed power pole that the owner is going to install for lot B? And that's where the house is going to be?
Right now, the pole is going to be adjacent to a shed that they're using in their farming activities.
That's what I
In
was
lot
thinking,
B.
that-
In lot B,
That
correct.
maybe this is not for a house, it's just for maybe a pump.
At this point in time, yes.
It does say in the letter from the property owner, the purpose of the proposed new service is to provide power to farming activities that are occurring on site. Doesn't mean that they couldn't build a house down the road,
Yeah.
but yeah.
He's got plans to build a house there.
Councilor Murray.
So
Mayor, I will withdraw my motion and ask that we postpone this item to the next available council meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? Does this need just a group of,
Yeah, you can, yeah.
it's not a resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to
And-
postpone till the next meeting.
We'll work with the property owner to make sure they can attend the next meeting. And if not, we'll move it to the next meeting that the property owner is available to attend so that we can make sure that we don't run into this issue again.
And Mayor and members of council, just for the sake of the record, so I did look it up on the assessor's website. So this property owner owns lot C and lot B. So lot A is not part of the equation as far as I can tell. So this power line is sort of already would be crossing over a different property owner's property.
So they need an easement of some kind, I would presume.
we'll see.
But I guess that we can ask that when.
It may pre-exist. It would be entirely dependent on what that survey and plat said, when it was created.
Okay.
Okey doke. Last item in new business. Item 4, consideration action approval of resolution 26-37 adopting the 2028 to 2032 infrastructure capital improvement plan ICIP. May I have a motion to open this?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion? It's unusual.
Yeah.
You just-
Take that roll call vote now.
Move fast.
Are you here to check on your money? Good for you.
Well,
And
good.
we do have the option of, if we want to adjust so we have to get this list into the state before July 1, and then they close the portal. We can't make any changes to it. However, before everything reopens for the capital outlay process, they will reopen the portal for a short period of time if we want to restructure any of our rankings as we get closer to that time of requesting capital outlay. So just so you know, these rankings do get locked in after July 1, but we do have the option to change them before we go to our great legislators for funding.
And thanks to Melanie for surveying us because there was some confusion last time with how we ranked.
Thank you all to all the counselors for re-ranking them.
Right.
So on that, Mr. Mayor, municipal parking facilities means just what we were talking about earlier, that we have to wait.
No, the municipal parking facilities was specifically for the admin complex, not all the other. Yeah, because that was already
But then you still
written.
have to wait till first on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. It's a resolution. So Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Knight? Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Next item, announcements, future agenda items.
Thank you.
Number 1, uniform traffic ordinance first reading, next meeting on the 23rd of June. Number 2, possible fireworks ban renewal, next meeting. Number 3, 40-year water plan update, July 16. And number 4, draft noise ordinance discussion to be announced. Any other changes or
Just the parking conversation. Yep.
in parking conversation next meeting? Okay, we've done all our agenda items, so
Could I-
yes, Councilor
Where
Woolman.
we are on the, your discussions with NMDOT. It was supposed to be the end of
It's
May.
next month.
So our next meeting is next Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
at 10 a.m. And then we go back to every other month.
And that's going to have to do with stop signs and.
It'll be everything. And I was going to see if we could add to the agenda just a brief discussion about the driveway permits, because it has been an issue getting those approved with NMDOT.
You know, I
So-
noticed the other day that the new complex going up at Perea Road has a long driveway off of Corrales Road. Is that up for discussion, or is that built in to the, I mean, what's going to happen with that?
So anytime a property owner brings a new plat, they have to get a drive. So driveway permits do not go with the land, they go with the owner. So every time a property changes hands along Corrales Road, that new owner has to go and apply for a new driveway permit
Through NMDOT?
through NMDOT. And they don't make that clear to people. I think I would assume if I bought a property and I have access off of Corrales Road, I would just assume that it's been allowed. I wouldn't know that I had to go and get a new driveway permit to continue using that access point.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you. So for Perea Road, can we put some commas in there so it's $700,000, not $7 million?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And also, for the DOT discussion, let's get the crosswalks back on the discussion.
100%.
Yeah, so the crosswalks, those are on hold until after the safety study. So the studies won't be, we won't have results until early fall. So the only thing we're going to get from DOT at this next meeting is the contractor is working on everything. We'll get results to you in, late August, early
How
September.
about the pathway from the Montessori school?
Again, everything there. Well, with the pathway, it should be on the agenda. They said anything that has been a rolling item on the agenda, which that is one of them. And they're waiting on the figuring out what the right of ways are. So I actually I did get a little bit passive aggressive with DOT. We were having a discussion about cutting down the trees on the north end, and they had informed us that the village must pay for that. And I said, but that's your right of way, so shouldn't you pay for it? And then, yes, well, and then they said, well, I don't have the right of way documents. And I said, well, I do. Here you go. And I emailed it to them. So
That's that Margaret lady.
yes. Well, no, this was Greg, the head. Yeah. So yeah, I did get a little pushy and said, please review this and please check the pathway along there and then the north end of town.
You never heard from the other?
I have not heard from them yet. Yeah.
The other question I have is with the trees at the north end, are they historical trees that have been approved by the tree committee?
I don't believe so. I will double check the list, the landmark trees list, but no, they're elm trees. So I don't think that they would be. Yeah, no, and that's what those trees have already been evaluated by an arborist, and they confirmed that they are diseased and they need to come down. So even if they were landmark trees, that's the process to remove a landmark tree, is to get it certified by an arborist that there is a legitimate safety reason, and having a diseased tree is a legitimate safety reason. So we're covered either way.
Thank you for all the work. I noticed twice you had to put those poles back up that have the signs. I mean, it just proves the point that they made earlier. They have to put up those, twice already, right? They keep knocking down those signs. Amazing.
Anyway, thank you very much, Council, for this is our 5th consecutive Tuesday meeting, I think.
It is. It is. We actually get a little break next week, so we won't see you for 2 whole weeks.
So anyway, meeting's adjourned.
Gonna miss you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So let's talk about our county assessor.